The Marin County Restrictive Covenants Project seeks to inform and educate our residents of the history and significance of governmental policies and programs that largely resulted in the wealth gap that we see here in Marin County and in this country.
We're trying to really bring home the history of Marin County in terms of how racially restrictive covenants are the primary driver for why we see such residential and community segregation today.
We've had decades and decades of people not being able to buy homes in areas that they would like to live.
I realized that I, as an East Asian from Africa, I could have never lived in Sleepy Hollow.
For populations of color, it means the inability to achieve the American dream of creating a better future for their children.
The difference is appalling in these areas that have these restrictive covenants, and you can see it in everything, in diversity, but also in schooling, in access to clean water, to healthy food. It's everywhere.
The racially restrictive covenants were first put in place in the early 20th century as a means to keep neighborhoods predominantly white.
In 2019, Supervisor Katie Rice shared with me her experience after she was reading some of her title reports on her home.
As a homeowner, a property owner, taking a look at your deed and seeing that language is going to really have the most impact on a person that words can have, because we're talking about the place you live, and suddenly you're going to have a recognition that if you had been a person of color in 1965, you would not have been able to purchase that home, even rent that home.
After doing some research and looking at the restrictive covenants, they thought this is a great educational tool. That was why we decided to do the map.
The mapping project has been incredible. There's about 4,500 homes that have been identified by the county. And actually it's helped my team and my interns. They have been able to use this data that was put together by the county to point out property numbers, the wording. We're basically sending them out to residents who are on the list. That's been a big, major wake up for a lot of the residents.
Learning it through local history and actually studying housing laws, studying deeds, studying maps, it doesn't just tell you where you live and your privilege, it shows you it.
I think we really want residents today to have a much clearer understanding of how racially restrictive covenants impacted the color of our neighborhoods today, and the fact that Marin County is one of the most segregated counties in the state, if not the nation.
The way the amending the deed works is that you strike the section in the deed. And so it isn't telling people that this never existed. It'll be shown that this is part of the deed. But you're making a moral statement by saying, I live in America right now, and this is wrong and was wrong in the 40s and 50s.
I've had a lot of residents in Marin County reach out and really applaud this effort, and many students have actually come forward and asked how they could volunteer and help to do some of this research and actually find this language.
Our main goal was to file through tons of old newspaper clippings looking for evidence of segregation, redlining, racial restrictive covenants, language towards people of color that was discriminatory. Now it's kind of shifted into collecting all this research and data and information and developing that into a curriculum or a pilot that can be used in schools and can be taught from an angle of Marin and its vast history into redlining and segregation that not many students, from my perspective, know about.
The county, like all of the cities and towns, is in the process of updating the housing element, which is part of our general plan. The residents of Marin have an opportunity to participate in the housing planning work to call out the more covert forms of racial discrimination. Obviously, racially restrictive covenants are illegal today, but comments come in more sophisticated manner, such ideas as it's important to protect the character of these neighborhoods, to uphold the high property values, and to protect the scenic beauty of our neighborhoods. These are dog whistle terms to basically say we need to find ways to exclude those who don't look like us, who don't make as much income as us, from living amongst us. We have to be able to call out acts and comments like this that really serve to push the county away from our values and our goals of promoting more equitable access to housing and developing a healthier, more prosperous, and inclusive community.
This is the second message we're trying to get through with this racial covenant program. It isn't just simple property deeds that as the statement. It's a bigger issue in our community of how to balance out inequity, economic inequity in our society. So.
I think understanding the impact that restrictive covenants had is important information as we consider our housing elements and as residents of this county look to supporting the development and creation of lower and moderate income housing so that more of the folks who perhaps in the past were not able to purchase a home or live here in Marin County will have an opportunity to do so.
We have an opportunity to do it the Marin way by making sure the growth can fit into our communities, and we can do this together in a very inclusive manner.